In section 3.2.31, the weight of an organ in adult males has a bell-shaped distribution with a mean of 310 grams and a standard deviation of 20 grams. So the first thing we need to do is we want to make sure we know how to draw a bell curve. So you want to get in the habit of knowing what this empirical rule looks like, because it's saying use the empirical rule to determine the following. So we have a mean of 310. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to be able to then find out what are the next numbers to the right and to the left of that mean. But since we're using the standard deviation of 20, if we add 20 to the right, that gives us one standard deviation from the mean. Then we're going to add another 20 to the right, that gives us our second standard deviation from the mean. And if we add another 20, then that's going to give us our third standard deviation from the mean. Now likewise, if we subtract 20 here, that's going to give us one standard below the mean. And then subtracting 20 again gives us two standard deviations below the mean. And then subtracting another 20 again is going to give us 3 standard deviations below the mean. So you want to make sure that we first know how to put this together, knowing that you have this information, knowing that one standard deviation above and below is 34 plus 34, which is 68%. If you're doing 2 standard deviations above and below, you're going to add an additional 13.5 on the left and then the right. If we go 3 standard deviations, then we're adding an additional 2.35% on the left and the right. So, in the next question, part A, they want us to determine about 99.7% of organs will be between what weights. Now remember that 99.7, okay, covers everything that is 3 standard deviations of the mean. So that means we're going to go 3 standard deviations below the mean and 3 standard deviations above the mean. So you can see here that the two numbers that are associated with that is 250 and 370. So it's going to be between 250 and 370 grams. Okay, next it says what percentage of organs weighs between 270 grams and 350 grams? So let's go ahead and take a look at that information. So between 270 and 350. So here's 270 and then in between 350. So we're looking at everything that's in between here and here. So we have 13.5, 34, 34, and 13.5. So again, the graph is going to indicate that if we add 34% plus 34% plus 13.5% plus 13.5%, when we add those together, it's going to give us 95%. So the percentage that weighs between 270 and 350 grams is 95%. Now in part C, it says what percentage of organs weighs less than 270 but more than 350. So here's 270 and everything is less than 270 here. And then here is 350 and everything that's more than that. So we have 0.5% and then we have 2.35% on this side. And then we have 2.35 and 0.15% on that side. So we can see that it indicates that we're going to add that together. But since we have 2 of them, we can add them together and then multiply it by 2, which gives us 5%. So 5% of the graph weighs less than 270 grams and weighs greater than 350 grams. Okay, next what we want to do is we want to find percentage of organs that weighs between 290 and 350. So here's 290 and then there is 350. So everything in between 290 and 350. So we have 34%, 34%, and 13.5%. So the graph indicates that there's 34% plus 34% plus 13.5% weigh between 290 and 350 grams. So the correct answers when we add them together is going to give us 81.5%.